Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum, brought to you by Get involved and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Welcome, everybody, to WSTU, the Treasure Coast Forum. I'm your host, Reese Gabbett, and I'm here with Connor Fuchs and Sam Crombie.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
If you want to call in and voice your opinion, you can always do so by calling in 220-WSTU. That's 220-9788.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
And so you came prepared today. You've got a little soundbite you want to play, right? You want to set this up a little bit first?
Yeah, you guys can just the border wall and all that stuff.
Yeah, so the hot topic in the last couple of weeks.
Everybody knows the government's been shut down.
Right, as a result of...
what day are we on now?
I think 18 or 19, something like that.
Yeah, almost 3 weeks now.
What's the longest government shutdown that's ever happened?
I think we're right around there. It's generally always been in a 2-3 week period, So after tomorrow, they will have missed their second pay period. So,
and what Congress is doing now is passing individual bills to support funding for specific. They're kind of breaking it up and chunking it up until they can figure out what they're going to do with the whole immigration funding. So at least that's going on, so that like the Department of Agriculture and like the SNAP program and different services can get the money that they need.
How about FBI?
Yeah, critical stuff like that. That isn't really considered to be like of the utmost importance, but it
is
does need that funding.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so this soundbite relates to about how people are trying to shut down Trump's wall ideal because it's what did you say? What was the adjective to describe the wall? Like inhumane or something like that?
Nancy Pelosi calling the wall immoral.
Immoral. Okay. All right.
So this is just a sound bit to try to prove how this is just purely political and just purely just against Trump.
All right.
So let's hear it.
All right. Maybe.
Hold on. It's not playing. Give me a second.
Technical difficulties.
do. Whoop, almost had it.
For a second.
Yep.
Comes a microphone right behind you. Here you go.
This is Hillary Clinton.
Hi, Secretary Clinton. I was wondering what you think about securing the Mexican border with some of the illegal immigrants that come in. Just wondering.
Well,
whoops, and it.
We have to know what Hillary said.
No. Before this gets fixed, this was recorded in 2015.
Okay, 2015. All right.
I don't know.
why. Look, I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. And I do think you have to control your borders.
Okay.
So
all right.
Funny how the major transition of opinion over that time, just because Trump started supporting something, it just shows how political it has nothing to do with the actual wall itself, just the fact that Trump's backing it.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah. All right. So I've got a montage of folks that have been on various talk shows. So we'll have a listen in on what they had to say about the wall.
For a fact, there is no invasion crisis at the border.
These are all artificial, fake crises.
That there is no crisis at the border.
There is no massive crisis down at the border.
There really is no border crisis.
The reality is, you're absolutely correct. There is no crisis on the border.
Okay, so that that's going to be, we're going to follow that up with a comment that the president made.
All right.
We now have an actual humanitarian crisis on the border that only underscores the need to drop the politics and fix our immigration system once and for all. We now have an actual humanitarian crisis on the border that only underscores the need to drop the politics and fix our immigration system.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting. That was obviously President Obama a few years ago describing a crisis at the border. What has improved? And nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought that was kind of interesting.
Sam, what are your thoughts on the wall?
You know, believe it or not, I actually am not the biggest proponent for the wall. I think it's $5 or $6 billion that the Trump administration wants to earmark to put towards it.
Mhm.
I think would be better used towards actual border security, more agents, maybe securing parts of the border. But at least from the statistics I've seen and what I've read, is that overall border crossings have gone down as a result of the Trump administration using their zero tolerance policy and having more enforcement, because they've already been increasing support on the border. So the crossings have gone down, and I still think it's a huge problem. I don't know if I'd call it a crisis, but it definitely is still a huge problem. I just don't think it's at the level of building a wall. I think that, again, because, you know, it's such a permanent thing that 20, 30 years from now, you know, Mexico may become a Western first world country and be completely westernized and, you know, be a good ally of ours. And that wall will be essentially useless. So I think that, and also to add on top of that, I also think that it's kind of like putting a bandage on, you know, a bullet hole for our entire immigration system. You know, instead of actually addressing why we have such rampant illegal immigration and asylum seekers coming from these countries, we're instead trying to stop it at our border. So like I've kind of talked about how, like, you know, you want to try to help people within these countries have the resources to come here legally. I think that, like, that's the first step in the fight. And everything else is just us being lazy and not wanting to actually fight the problem head on. It's kind of us trying to, you know, fight the effects of the problem. So that's at least where I stand.
Isn't there a pretty serious drug issue though with
drug issue?
Because I think that's what a lot of people are thinking about when they
most
think of
of the heroin that comes into this country is walked across the border.
Because I was watching an interview with like a former ICE agent or
Mhm.
the leader, and he says that like most of the border is a strand of barbed wire, literally a strand of waist-high barbed wire. That's it.
Yeah, I listened to a man in an earlier program today, nearly 80 years old, and the barbed wire runs near his property.
Mhm.
And he said, being nearly 80, he can navigate himself through that very easily. You know, so he says
it's
the only
not difficult.
The person that couldn't get through that is somebody probably in a wheelchair. Otherwise, it's not that hard to get through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious to see where do the majority of drugs get smuggled in? Is it through checkpoints or is it just walked across?
Walked across is what a lot of it's caught at the checkpoints.
Mhm.
The whole idea of a barrier of some sort is to force or funnel people
Through the checkpoints.
through the legitimate checkpoints. And so to Sam's point, if people from Honduras, Guatemala, all those places want to illegally immigrate through, if they know there is an impenetrable border, they're not going to be so inclined to make such a long, arduous journey. You know, so I think there is a psychological as well as the physical implications involved with that. It's more than just a physical barrier.
Mm-hmm. Whatever happened to the caravan of people coming here?
Largely, a lot of them have gone back to their country of origin. Some of them are still in Tijuana. The folks in Tijuana are not happy. And there is a brand new group forming right now, and it's going to be even bigger than the last caravan.
Really?
According to the president. And so he's very, very concerned about that.
Mm-hmm. They only tried to like force themselves in once, and that's
the interesting thing about this whole building barriers is that on the southern border of Mexico, the Mexicans are now very actively looking at trying to build some sort of barrier between them and their neighboring countries, because they don't want these people coming in like they have been.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So I think that's kind of telling too. So they think for themselves, perhaps a wall might be a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
Yeah.
Talking about the money, right? Senator Rand Paul has what he calls during the Christmas time. He last year, I haven't seen 2018's, but I pulled one up from 2017. He issues a letter to the budget committee offering the waste report. And as he's the chairman of the Federal Spending and Oversight Subcommittee. And he found $1.12 billion of wasteful spending in his 2017 budget waste report. And so my thinking is, and I'm sure that, any astute accountant probably can go over the federal budget and find that money that the president is looking for. In fact, some of the pundits, some talking heads have spoken about the amount of money that he's looking for some of the different agency budgets. That amount could be referred to almost as a rounding error.
Wow.
It's such a, because our economy is so huge, it's really a small part of the economy. And yet, when the Democrats were in power, they were looking for, I think, an amount that was several times more than that amount. Interestingly, yeah.
I think all it is just they're trying to stop Trump from going in on his promise from his campaign,
right?
And that's going to, of course, make him, if he can't get it built before, or like starting to get built before this next election, it's going to make him look bad because, like he said, he was going to get it done. And everybody's trying to fight against him getting it done.
It's like we were talking about how the majority of Democrats supported Israel building walls on the Egyptian border and the Palestinian border. Like they all supported that. And it's just like it's purely political.
And I mean,
it works over there, right? But
you also see them supporting border security. It's just like the fundamental difference has been the wall, which I personally think has been like a poor campaign move. I know it was like, something that he ran his campaign on, and he's really tried pushing it. But like at this point, it's been drawn out so much to the point where a lot of people are expecting it, but it's leaving a bad taste in their mouth because one, Mexico, you could argue through the USMCA trade deal because we're going to eliminate our trade deficit, they'll be paying for the wall, right? But the talking point of the Democrats is, well, they're not physically paying, they're not directly paying for the wall. So that's a broken campaign promise, no matter how
indirectly,
yeah, right. I would argue that it's not because of the trade deal, but that's how the Democrats are going to take it. You have that, and because of this government shutdown, almost 3 weeks, right? The Democrats are pinning that on the Republicans and saying that it's solely because of this. And now, if Donald Trump does have to, call a state of emergency in order to secure that funding, I just feel like it's been. I don't know what the result is, like voter wise on dragging this out versus if he doesn't fulfill the promise. But all I know is that like it's been difficult.
Yeah. So the way a lot of the talking heads have been posturing this whole debate is that if the president rolls over and the Democrats win and he does not get his wall funding, it would essentially kill his 2020 presidential run. That would be game over.
I think that's a pretty fair.
I think that's the reason why they're just adamantly against trying to work with the president at all.
Absolutely.
I think it would definitely kill a little bit of his mojo if that didn't go through.
But I also think that whatever he does, it's going to be met with a negative reaction, just vitriol from both sides. So I don't know. It's it's a lot of questions being asked, questions about like our politics and like how we, get things done and pass legislation and funding and stuff like that. But it's definitely, it's actually kind of interesting looking at it now and seeing, how it's going to play out in the next month. I remember a couple months ago, we were talking about the caravan and we're like, oh, it's going to be a national emergency, thousands of people, if they say they're going to storm the border, and look at that, it dissolved before it got there. And what we thought was going to happen, or at least possibly could happen, didn't come to fruition. So who knows?
And I think that was because he had mobilized the military to help with the border agents.
Yeah.
And I think when they saw that, there was pretty much an impenetrable force.
Mm-hmm. And it was heavily criticized. But like another thing that I think that after like a wave like 100 got to the U.S. Tijuana border, and there was a picture of like a mother holding the hands of her two children or whatever, and it was just like splattered across the airwaves and everything. And it was just politicized for that just for that 24 hours. And then after that, never heard about any of that again.
Right. Yeah, a lot of that stuff was staged. The folks that participated in that were told by their, I guess, term, I'm going to use the word handlers. There were folks that, coyotes, that people that they paid to help bring them across the border, said, "Oh, it'll be fine. Just go ahead and it'll be all right." So they were told by these people that were handling them and guiding them through this process that it would be all right. And they didn't realize that what they were really coming to. They are not fully educated, not fully cognizant of what was going on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So big problem.
Speaking of that campaign,
yeah.
What are your thoughts on the potential Democrat candidates?
Oh yeah, a field is forming.
Yeah.
Warren, right?
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren threw her hat in the ring, and then yesterday, another senator, I believe, the name escapes me right now, but a female senator threw her hat in the ring. And so it looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting field.
Mm-hmm. And actually, me and Sam were talking about this, I think a week or two ago, about how the Bernie Sanders scandal.
Right.
About how he.
Yeah, that's in his campaign camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And actually, I think we were mistaken, Sam. It wasn't like sexual. It was sexism. It was he was paying the women in his campaign far less than the men in his campaign. And I don't know if he claimed that he had no idea that was going on.
Okay.
But it's just interesting to see a double standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, on Wikipedia, it lists a couple of the declared major candidates.
Okay.
According to them, 137 individuals have filed with the FEC to run for president, which, it's funny. You never think that. But the two major ones so far are John Delaney, U.S. Representative from Maryland from 2013 to 2019, he filed back July 28th of last year. Or no, excuse me, of 2017. So he's been planning that for a little while. And then I don't know how to pronounce his last name. A West Virginia state senator since 2016, Richard Ojeda. And he filed November 11th last year. So interesting.
Yeah.
But Elizabeth Warren launched her, I think it was an exploratory committee. And other candidates I think Cory Booker and
a lot of them are in Idaho or Iowa right now, rather Iowa.
See how that goes.
Doing the Iowa caucuses. So they're going to be doing that. Michelle Obama been the whispers that she may do.
I assume it's going to be the same thing as Hope, where everybody gets really hyped up about it and it just doesn't go anywhere.
And New York Governor Cuomo, there's a possibility that he may run as well. So
I'm not really hearing any particularly strong candidates, though. I don't.
Yeah, Joe Biden. Everybody speaks fondly of him, Uncle Joe.
Yeah,
but I don't see that.
I don't see Warren really.
No.
I don't know.
I think the Pocahontas thing that pretty much shot. That was really deflated.
Trump posted something where it's
he tweeted out a picture and it was
1 2020th.
Yeah, one in 2020.
Wow, that's pretty clever.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing about how she took the DNA test, and then went just so far to prove that eight generations ago she had some Native American blood, and then I just don't understand her PR team around her thought that was a good idea because Donald Trump made fun of it, but it wasn't a hot button issue.
Right.
But then she comes out prideful and is well, let me tell you, I do have Native American in it, 1/1000th. You know what I mean? And it's just ridiculous.
She shot herself in the foot.
Yeah.
It was she was trying to be boastful of that.
Right.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. And in fact, if I was the college or university that because she had received special consideration because of her Native American status, I'd be asking for a refund.
Yeah.
Who was I don't know why I'm just thinking about this, but who was the kid from Stoneman Douglas who was really
David Hogg.
Didn't he just get into, was it Harvard?
Harvard, yeah. So I don't know if you heard about, so last year, David Hogg what's her name, Laura Ingraham on Fox News kind of roasted him and was like, "Oh, you're not getting into any of your schools." And then he took a gap year, and I'm pretty sure he founded the March for Our Lives movement, or he was a big part of it. And then this year he applied to Harvard and got in.
Oh, good.
So him and a couple other March for Our Lives like figureheads have gotten into pretty good schools, and so after taking a gap year for the midterm, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's cool because they're going to be in our class now. So like, and also I think Sasha Obama, the youngest, she actually broke tradition, or people say that she broke tradition. Instead of going to Harvard, she's going to go to U Michigan. So
Wow.
yeah, we got a couple celebrities in our class 2023. So
Nice.
yeah,
University of Michigan.
Yeah. Great school.
Yeah, yeah, it is. We've got a alumni from Martin County High School going there as well.
Really?
Yes, the quarterback.
Oh yeah,
George
Johnson.
George
Yeah.
Johnson.
It's like top 3 public schools in the United States.
Public colleges, yeah, somewhere
Michigan's
like that.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But really good school.
Yeah, too bad they didn't do too well with football. Maybe that'll change after next year.
Maybe, yeah, right. Yeah, and even more so for out-of-state applicants. It's like, like for UF for Florida, and if you're in Virginia, like UVA, it's really difficult to get into U Michigan from here.
Yeah.
So it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Congratulations.
Oh, and college I guess
Applications.
acceptances are actually starting to come out this year. Like in
Yeah.
the following months. I find out about Georgia Tech this weekend.
Yeah.
Not the highest of hopes, but we'll see what happens.
It's Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we start hearing from like a bulk amount of acceptances, or I guess decisions.
In like late
hopefully
February.
acceptances in like March.
We find out about UF in less than a month, I think.
Yep.
Okay, very good. So I understand Costco is going to be the neighbor of Martin County High School.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, moving in. So that'll be like during lunch break, I guess, another place to go.
Go get some samplers.
So yeah, we'll talk about that more after the break.
Yes, we'll do that. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Hey, no Agnet report, so we just launched right into our program. Yeah, how's that? How cool is that? Yeah, all right. So you are listening to Treasure Coast Forum, and we're with South Fork and Martin County High School students here.
Representatives.
From Youth and Government.
Yep.
Yes. So
actually, our state assembly is coming up really soon, and we all just finished all of our bills. And I think you wanted us to talk about our bills when we got back.
Yeah, we want to talk about those bills, but we've got Bob on the line.
Bob's on the line.
So, Bob, how you doing, big guy?
Getting over my annual flu when coming back from Jersey. Feeling better, a lot better.
Okay, all right.
I got to talk to Frank from the South Carolina Welcome Center. I stopped to take a leak. I could hardly talk then.
Wow. Yeah. Well, good deal. But all right. So, you made it back safely, and you had an
anybody heading towards Florida, exit 104 in Virginia, $1.79.9.
Oh, for
on I-95.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I got at BJ's. I got a pretty good deal at BJ's.
The cheapest gas I used to get was actually when I got to New Jersey, and they pump the gas for you.
Yeah.
And now they have a new huge tax, and now they're the most expensive from Florida to Jersey.
Nice.
Yeah, and they asked me why. They're asking me why they got that new governor that wants to make it a sanctuary status. I don't know. You're supposed to be voting. I don't know. Schools, media, whatever. But they're all in bewilderment that they have this new radical governor. So I don't know.
Oh, up in New Jersey? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, well, this guy's off the chart. He's like OAC, another oblivious commie, that Cortez gal.
Well, how about the new governor of California? Pretty interesting character. He wants to open up the entire state for Medicare for all.
Oh yeah, he was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle at one time, believe it or not, who's a conservative that used to be on the 5 on Fox.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, and talking about graduates, you're talking about the Obama girl. I recently found out just down the street here by Port St. Lucie Boulevard, not even a mile away. Guess who graduated from Morningside Christian Academy there?
Who?
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. Okay.
You know her, right? From the Transformer movies.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, and she did a guest appearance on Big Bang Theory too, as Megan Fox. So, which was kind of neat, and
she did. I think her first real role was on 2.5 Men as the maid's daughter, her granddaughter. But she hasn't, maybe because the Christian Academy, she hasn't pulled a Miley Cyrus yet. So.
Well, hopefully
we'll see. We'll see if she turns.
She seems like a nice enough person, but she was very funny in Big Bang Theory. With the characters there creeped her out pretty well. So
yeah, that one kid on there, he's from the old Roseanne show, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
I forget his name.
Yeah, that shocked me. That was so many years ago. He was on Roseanne.
Wow, that's a small world.
So how do you like this border?
Well,
let's talk about the federal government. I looked up some things.
All right,
I heard some good.
I
heard some good stuff. 22 million federal, local, and state employees. Okay, and DC alone, full time, 2 million employees. For 300 million legal Americans. This is unbelievable. Like they say, we're lucky if 25 cents of every dollar that goes to DC is actually well spent. The rest is used for re-election, poor, theft, loss, stolen, whatever, redistribution. It's just out of hand. And talking about billions of dollars, I heard today that we've offered, I don't know if it's gone through yet, $10 billion for the southern border in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And we give $50 billion, I heard today, in foreign aid. It's just, come on. We need the wall. Get the damn wall. The border control says they need the wall. They want the wall. I always thought it might just be a symbol, but I don't care. When you have that last caravan coming through throwing rocks at our border patrol like the Stone Ages, I mean, what does that show the rest of the world? Hey, just storm our borders. We got nothing. You know, this has to be done. It should have been done a long, long time ago. There's no debating it. I think it should be cement because, like I said before, I used to haul asphalt in California. The other half of the plant was cement, and cement is nothing but sand and rock, depending on the grade you want, and a chemical called Portland. So, you know, I mean, I think we can invent a machine. The desert, most of the desert is full of sand. We got water there at the Rio Grande. You invent the right machine, and I think we could pretty much form up a wall pretty damn cheap. But whatever it costs, we're spending like $240 billion a year on illegals. What the hell? Yeah, come on, do the math.
Yeah.
I think this is more. This is about making Trump look bad on his major promise for 2020. But like I said before, you know, this has more to do with they thought they were going to win in 2018. They thought Hillary was a shoo-in. They thought after the second election of Obama that they were in for perpetual power. And then they started yakking, well, oh yeah, we shouldn't have a border and this and that, because they didn't want any more people. They didn't think they needed them. Now that they lost in 2018 and they're losing African-American votes and whatnot, and people are wising up a lot, you know, except for what we did with the House last time, you know, they want these votes too. They want these illegals. So, you know, I think it's more than just the one thing, but it's just sad to see. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We need a damn wall.
Well, the real sad story here, you know, it seems to have been lost. Well, some people have talked about it, but the previous Congress had every opportunity to resolve this, and they were unwilling or unable to. And this should have been resolved with the last Congress.
Yeah, well, the Democrats owned all three at one time not long ago, and they didn't do it either.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. They had.
It's just getting silly, and I think they're going to look bad. And I think I'm glad they're showing their hand, really.
Right. So the Democrats are doing exactly what they said they were going to do. There's no surprises there, and so the Republicans really had an opportunity and over the past 2 years, and they fettered it away. So
yeah, Ryan and McConnell I'm no big fans of theirs. The other day I heard too that California teachers are threatening to strike now. Guess what they want? They want more money, and they want less students. Well, they should be for the wall because that'll solve both of those. There'll be more money for them, and there'll be less illegal students in their classrooms. Than most of them, they say, drop out around the 6th grade anyways. So it's just wasted money on a lot of them.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then you had Pelosi talking about she'd give $1. You know, she's pretty tight, you know, if it's coming out of her wallet. Like we talked before, that tuna plant she had in Guam, she had one of her pals put into the minimum wage increase bill that Guam would be exempt from it, so she wouldn't have to pay crumbs to them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's right. She got a cutout on Guam for the payment, so that they didn't have to pay the minimum wage scheduled for the region. So
yeah, because her and her husband own a tuna plant there. I don't know.
I thought it was a Dole plant. I didn't know if it was tuna, but
no. Over and over, they were saying tuna plant, but it could have been both. Who knows? They made a fortune off of DC, like most of these people. Yeah. This Cortez gal, who like Jesse Waters said yesterday, she's charming, she's attractive, she's got a great personality, but she's got nothing between the ears but freaking landing zone. You know, it's and you know, this is what our public school system has given us. You know. We need more like her. It's just getting out of hand, and I don't know.
All right,
that's about all I got to say. And Happy New Year, guys!
Happy New Year, Bob. Thanks for your thoughts.
I hope you all got that brand new Camaro that Megan Fox drove for Christmas. So
all right, yeah, Camaro under your tree sounds good.
All right, guys. Happy New Year!
All right,
Happy New Year!
Thanks, Bob. All right, very good. So before we go to break, we got 4 minutes before break. Why don't we talk about the
bills?
The bills.
Connor, I think you should talk about yours first.
Let's give us the breakdown.
Well, I'm doing the same exact bill I did last year, and it is about recreational marijuana in the state of Florida.
All right. And exactly what does your bill propose?
My bill proposes that we slap a tax on that bad boy and send some of those funds over to education. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
Very interesting.
Did you have a percentage tax recommended in your proposal?
There'd be a 15% sales tax on wholesale transfers, and then a 15% excise tax on retail sale of it.
Okay, so you're taxing it twice.
Well, but from like a vendor to another vendor, those transfers would be taxed, like, and then retail actual. So yeah, there's like two different.
It gets taxed twice.
Yeah.
Okay, and so, how did you come up with that calculation? Was that an arbitrary number, or was there a calculation involved?
It's what Colorado does. So,
all right. So
I was just I took their system and put it. Yeah.
And how did they arrive at their number?
I'm not sure, but it seems to be generating quite a good amount of money over there. So
all right,
yeah, they're still buying it,
right?
Maybe a little lazier over there, but I don't know. At least they have some money, right?
Yeah, and it also helps to combat the drug trade and stuff, and make sure people aren't getting shot just to get their Mary Jane. So a couple positive effects of it.
I mean, that's less just drug charge kids in jail, a lot less prisoners in jail. And plus, it pretty much eliminates most, illegal organizations or cartels that are bringing in marijuana.
Yeah.
So less crime, less people in jail,
less drug dealers, more entrepreneurs.
And more happy people.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about driving under the influence?
It should be tolerated the same as if you were drinking under the influence.
Right.
I don't see how it's any different.
And I understand it's gone up, and the states have made it legal, and it's been law enforcement's having a little bit of a problem with that.
I'm sure it has.
Yeah.
That would definitely be an issue. I think they just came out with actual like working testing kits that they can use roadside now, so that should hopefully help them with that issue. But yeah, obviously driving under the influence is a pretty terrible thing,
right,
for everybody involved.
Okay. All right. So when we come back, we're going to talk about your bill.
We can talk about Sam's.
And Sam's bill. Okay. Very good. We got two bills to cover.
I don't even know what Sam's is. So
oh, you're in for a treat.
Okay.
Goody.
Very good. Okay. Very good. So stick with us. We're going to learn about the youth and government bills to be proposed when we come back.
Welcome back to WSTU. This is your host, Connor Fuchs, and I'm here with Reese Gabbett and Sam Crombie from County High School.
Wow.
Well done,
Now
gentlemen.
that was epic.
Anyway,
One
Sam,
for the ages.
you're about to tell me what your bill was.
No, you said ladies first. Tell us, give us
that's
the bill
fine.
breakdown. Oh, I wasn't a joke.
Okay. What my bill does for youth and government is it's pretty much Sam, let's say that we were married,
Okay.
right? And then we got a divorce.
Okay. Oh,
That's
jeez.
2019.
I hate when that happens.
Me too.
Yeah. Jeez.
Let's say that I had custody of our kids and you had to pay me child support.
Yep.
And then let's hear that you're getting wind that I'm not using this money for the kids. I'm using this for a new purse, or perhaps I'm paying for
Frivolous items.
frivolous items that does not
A
contribute
lifetime
towards
supply of bubble gum.
exactly
Ugh.
stuff like that. So you would get a little upset, right? Because that
Yeah.
money's supposed to be going for your kids.
Right.
Well, with my bill, what you could do is you could go to the circuit courts and be like, I don't think that my money is going towards my kids. And then the circuit courts will tell me to pretty much write out a form of where each dollar is going to that you're paying me. So make sure that all the items are for
Everything's allocated.
everything is allocated.
Okay.
So how does it work now? What is it going to be
They're-
changing in the status quo?
Pretty much instead of saying, oh, you have to pay for the kids, now it's actually like enforcing that you have to use the money for the kids.
So it gives people paying child support like more leverage.
Yeah.
To get to court if they need to.
So let's say that, and then that form would go to both the courts and back to you. And you can look over it and be like, I don't think that this is appropriate or something like that. Or you just don't get the form at all. You can either talk to me or you can talk to the circuit courts. And if there's a rebuttal, the courts will settle it. Pretty much one warning. If you do this again, there's going to be repercussions. If it happens again, or you don't receive the form again, then the whole child support, how much you're paying, is renegotiated, and the possible change of custody for the kids. Because obviously, the money's not going for the kids. Why are you paying for it?
Interesting. Very good. Well, I hope we never get a divorce.
I don't want a divorce.
It wouldn't be good for the kids.
Wow. It's 2019, ladies and gentlemen.
What do you think, Frank?
I think it's a little. I mean, it shows you're holding somebody up for responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that's the whole idea. My only concern is we're such a litigious society that it's just another thing to litigate. So,
well, it only has to be litigated. I mean, I'm sure that many
yeah. So most divorces
situations
don't
are.
happen amicably. Okay, the only divorce that I know that's fairly amicable that just took place is Bezos just recently divorced.
Oh yeah, I
his
saw that on
wife.
TV this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about a settlement.
And they decided to remain as friends.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was pretty amicable. But he's also probably the richest man in the world.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, 130 something
He is
billion.
the richest man in the world.
yeah. So whatever but anyway, so they made an arrangement. So but generally speaking, most divorces generally happen because of a variety of issues, and trust is lost between the parties. So the relationship becomes adversarial.
But I mean, if back to the example, if Sam is
Right.
giving his hard-earned money for me to allocate to the kids,
Right.
the least I'm just getting money without working for it. Least I can do is draft up a form to just show where the money's going.
Right. I absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you have to have some accountability is what you're
Exactly.
talking about. And but again, so my worry is that somebody working a well-meant system just to leverage, just to create
More
pain,
issues.
more pain and issues. Yeah.
All right, I can
So,
see that.
Yeah. So, anyways, but I think the umbrella scope of it seems good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sam?
Okay, interesting. Mine's more on the green side, like Connor over here.
Oh boy.
So it's a bill to fund the construction of organic composting plants. So essentially, what my bill does is put I think 6% or what is it? It's like a 0.5% or 1% increase in the sales tax for a 5-year period, and it's going to raise around $50 million in revenue, which the state government is going to use to build organic composting plants. So a lot of the problems that we have in the state with agriculture, with red tide, the algae crisis, and just like there's many different like problems that we have because we don't have a productive way of getting rid of organic waste, whether it's from businesses or from farms or just, from many different operations. Either fertilizers, like those phosphate and nitrogen fertilizers, are leaking into the water supply, which damages not only crop yield, but, damages our rivers. And then for these businesses, they have no way to get rid of their compost. And so what happens is it goes to landfills and it's not doing anyone any favors. So when we create these composting facilities that are going to be state run, what it's going to do is allow for a cheaper alternative to sending your waste off to a dump. Instead, it can be used in the plant. And it can be recycled into organic waste. And then from there, that provides accessibility so that farmers can use that organic waste instead of those harmful fertilizers and, many different things. So it's multifaceted, different things that it can do. But the idea is that we want to promote more reducing, reusing, and recycling. And I think it does it on multiple fronts.
All right. So how does it get from the people that are generating the composting waste to the composting facility? How does it get there?
Yeah. So what usually happens is you have services like Waste Management who do take waste from businesses and even our homes, and they travel long distances. It's a lot of money. We don't even know it, but we pay a lot of money, and businesses pay a whole heck of a lot of money into having their waste brought all the way out to landfills because they're far and few in between. And it just sits there and it's smelly. It doesn't really do anything for the environment. So now these trucks will be able to bring it to these composting facilities to eliminate the damage we do to the environment from these landfills. And it will be able to be processed into organic compost, which is actually more efficient than these phosphate and nitrogen fertilizers. It's just that, when accessibility is low, farmers don't have access to it, and as a result, they can't use it and they can't make that transition. But when we have multiple organic composting facilities, regionally throughout Florida, it provides that accessibility. More farmers can use it, right? It's not going to leak into river basins and poison our water supply. And just I hope there's a lot of positive things to come out of it.
All right.
I'm actually surprised because it's going to be state run. I'm surprised a private entity hasn't looked into this more.
Well, I would think that a private entity probably would avoid it only because maybe they don't see a cash return.
Yeah, it's about like $2 to $3 million to create one of these facilities, and so the bill would go anywhere between 20 to 25. And what's also great about them is that they are self-sustaining, so they raise about $600,000 to $700,000 a year in revenue, from selling to farmers, from selling to you and I, and because they charge for removing waste, but it's much less than bringing it to a landfill. So they're very profitable. And so after that $50 million investment, they'll be operating on their own. And so, again, it's a lot of upfront costs, and you have to find an area that has both urban and rural farmers. So it's definitely a project to undertake. So that's what at least I hope my bill's going to do.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And so and this would be so the composting would be used or sold to farmers mostly.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah. So it's like a good revenue stream. And it, helps the environment on multiple fronts. Because again, right, like on the Kissimmee River Basin, for example, these phosphated nitrogen fertilizers, they leak into the water supply, go through Lake Okeechobee, and then they facilitate cyanoplankton and bacteria, if I'm correct. And as a result, that facilitates the algae crisis, right? And that's on the East and West Coast. And it's just basic things like, instituting healthy farming practices, which we can do through composting and even other fertilizers too. That just aren't as harmful, but the alternatives aren't out there because again, it's more cost effective, it's cheaper, and it grows much better, and you can rotate fields much quicker. It's just that if there's no accessibility to it, farmers are kind of out of luck.
Right. Well, that's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Very interesting, Sam. How'd you come up with that one?
Actually, it was a bill idea from a Yale debate tournament. So.
Okay.
It was it was in a preliminary round, and it had something to do with composting, and so I kind of took it and I reworked it for state level, and the original bill was talking about composting like within communities. And so I thought, what if you could like commercialize that to help the algae crisis in our own area, different things like that. So
excellent.
All right.
Excellent. All right. Well, good. We'll look forward to seeing everybody here next week.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Right here on Treasure Coast Forum. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep. Have a good week,
All
everybody.
right. Take care.
Great night, everyone.
Yeah, and high school basketball tonight at 7:00. So stay tuned for that.
Yep.